Well, welcome back to my Indiana Jones series, my friends. This is the point where I'm going to go through all 4 preceding Indy movies, all directed by Steven Spielberg, in the build-up to Dial of Destiny this summer. I've already covered the instant classic Raiders of the Lost Ark in our last entry, so now we come to the red-headed stepchild of the franchise, Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. Yeah, it's kind of fair to see why people think this is the weakest of the trilogy, and I don't necessarily disagree with that sentiment, but I think this movie gets way too much hate for its own good, even from Steven Spielberg himself. He has gone on record to say that this is the least favorite movie he's ever directed, even over Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And honestly, I think he's discrediting himself too much, because Temple of Doom is like a big shot of adrenaline. Like, anytime you need to hype yourself up, anytime you need to energize yourself with an action movie, this is a fun one to pick. And Temple of Doom on a rewatch especially, very, very fun to look back on. So it's 1935, and Indy, along with a lounge singer played by Kate Capshaw and an orphan played by Quan, search for mystical stones stolen from an Indian tribe. And how do they get them? They have to go through the dreaded Temple of Doom. And you know something? I gotta give Temple of Doom credit for trying something different for this franchise. Yeah, in terms of story substance, Temple of Doom is probably the weakest among the original trilogy. But that doesn't mean that with a great performance from Harrison Ford and some jaw-dropping action sequences and a lot of really great comedy along the way, that doesn't mean that Temple of Doom is a bad movie. Harrison Ford, once again, I think captures the true essence of what Indy is all about. Yes, his name's on the title, but he's not a typical hero. Indy's kind of an asshole in this movie, especially as it goes with the beginning of this movie when he encounters Kate Capshaw in that nightclub. He puts a fork right in her side. He doesn't care who it is. He's basically gonna stab this woman if these mafia people across the table from him don't give him what he wants. And from that point forward, this movie is relentless in just shoving so much excitement in your face. The chase sequences in this movie are way too many to count. The first of which, Indy is basically helped out of this situation by the one and only Short Round. And he's played by Quan, who just won an Oscar this past season for Everything Everywhere All at Once, in a comeback performance of the year. And right here, this is actually the performance that put him on the map. A lot of people might say that The Goonies is basically his breakout role and his best role. And a lot of people say that his work as Short Round is what got him the role in The Goonies, because that one came out right after, basically. And I just freaking love the chemistry that Quan and Harrison Ford have on screen together. Don't trust him, he's just a kid! These two are just so funny together. The fact that they're just jaw-jacking with one another over a game of cards while Kate Capshaw is fighting this bat behind them. And these two are just calm as calm can be. Kwan's character is accusing Indy of cheating. It's just little moments like that that I think really help make these characters all the more likable. Even though Indy, like I said, is very much an asshole in this picture, like, little moments like this with Short Round and the reason why he took Short Round under his wing. Short Round is an orphan. His parents were both killed at a very young age, and he tried to pickpocket Indy in the streets. And Indy caught him, and instead of basically leaving him for dead, he took him under his wing. That tells you something about the guy. Now, the romantic interest in Temple of Doom is Willie, played by Kate Capshaw, this nightclub singer. And yeah, she's basically in this to be your damsel in distress, huh? Like, I feel like Indy has to save her at every turn. And I don't think the chemistry was really there between Indy and Willie like it was with Indy and Marion in Raiders of the Lost Ark. So yeah, if you say that Kate Capshaw's character was kind of unnecessary to the plot of this movie, that's fine, I suppose. And it's sort of hard to defend that. But don't you ever slander Short Round, because he is saving Indy so many times throughout Temple of Doom. Don't you dare say that Short Round is a damsel in distress also. Call it an unpopular opinion all you want. Short Round is awesome. You know what else is awesome? The action in this movie. Like I said, there's way too many of them to count. The minecart chase sequence is, of course, the iconic one that everybody remembers from Temple of Doom. Matter of fact, as soon as Indy and his party enter the temple, it's just non-stop thrills from start to finish. And I love that Steven Spielberg was willing to go for broke on this project, because this is actually a very uncharacteristically structured type of movie. It feels more like it's divided up into 2 halves as opposed to the usual 3-act structure that film goers are used to. You have the first half, which is really fun in its own right, and then the second second half is all in the temple. It's just all action. And of course, there's the stuff when they get out of the temple at the very end, but you get the picture. You get the picture. You get everything in the second half of this movie, which I think is really what puts it over the hump for me as a better film than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's just a lot more fun. You have Short Round setting off some booby traps accidentally before Ke-Huy Quan was ever cast in the Goonies. And Willie is on the other side of this wall where she has to pull this lever through a big bed of bugs. And Indy and Short Round are about to be spiked in a sandwich there within this booby trap. And Indy is like, we're gonna die in here if you don't pull that lever. And of course, Willie does eventually overcome the fear and she does pull the lever, but it's a really funny sequence. That's one sequence with Willie that I actually really kind of dug. And that's one that I feel like, okay, that's my favorite Willie sequence for sure. Then you get into that actual minecart chase sequence itself, which again, I cannot put over enough. John Williams' score in the background is just so thrilling and exciting. Like, you legitimately feel like you need a nap after that. Of course, the final climax on the bridge with Indy looking as jacked as he ever has been, that is a really, really exhilarating sequence in and of itself. And again, I don't really understand what Steven Spielberg has against this movie necessarily. Because one thing that I cannot stress enough about Temple of Doom, that I feel like it has over a lot of other action movies really, I think it does an excellent job of instilling fear in the audience and really portraying the danger of the situation. Because there are so many points when you feel like Indy could possibly die. There's a lot of points where you feel like these side characters can die. Short Round is being whipped. Willie is being lowered into this pit of molten lava. And they're making Indy actually drink blood out of this skull through this ritual. And they actually turn Indiana Jones evil for a bit. And just seeing Harrison Ford as Indy mutate himself on that stone bed there after he drinks the blood and after he wakes up, it almost feels like Indiana Jones has become a horror movie. And I can't help but admire the approach and the bizarreness of Temple of Doom. It's a weird movie, to say the very least. There's a lot of crazy shit that happens here. I can't even begin to tell you as a younger viewer how scarring it was to see this dude dig into a victim's chest and pull his heart out, all before burning him to a crisp in that bed of molten lava. If you thought Raiders of the Lost Ark at PG rating was violent, Temple of Doom takes it to a whole other level. And I addressed this in my last review in this playlist. This is the movie that really, really inspired the PG-13 rating from the MPAA. I believe what happened is Spielberg himself actually lobbied to have that rating put in, because I could imagine parents taking their kids to see Temple of Doom in 1984 and just scurrying them out of the theaters just so they don't see the horrors that are about to unfold in front of them. So maybe it's that misaccurate rating. Maybe it's the fact that people think Short Round is annoying. Maybe it's the fact that Willie is annoying. I don't know what it is about Temple of Doom that people really despise. Because anytime I rewatch this bad boy, I have a lot of fun with it. And I think if you rewatch this movie, you're going to have a lot of fun with it too. I'm going to give Temple of Doom a B+. That's not to say that I don't think this is the weakest of the original trilogy, because it is. Let's face it, it doesn't have the mastery that Raiders of the Lost Ark has. It doesn't have the emotion that I'm going to get into with The Last Crusade on this playlist, and I can't wait to talk about that one. Stay tuned for that review, by the way. That's coming up next very, very shortly. But again, I just can't help but admire Temple of Doom for just going for broke and throwing all the weird stuff at the wall. Even if Spielberg thought this movie was terrible back in the day, I think he should be very proud of this. Let me know what you guys think of Temple of Doom down in the comments section below. Is this your guys' favorite indie movie? If not, what is it? As always, guys, I love discussing all brand new things in movies and entertainment, and you guys are all invited along for the ride as well. Especially if you want to stay up to date through a busy summer over here, do consider becoming a subscriber and tap on that bell. That way you don't miss another second of the action along the way. And guys, do me a favor and smash that like button as well. Really, really helps with the algorithm and helps get this content out there to more lovely viewers like you. But guys, y'all are the best. Look forward to my review of Last Crusade amongst a bevy of other movies very soon. Definitely looking forward to seeing Across the Spider-Verse this week alongside The Boogeyman, which looks to be a very fun, scary movie. Lots going on in the month of June especially, guys. This month is going to be stacked. So keep your eyes peeled for those videos and much, much more. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.